Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the YouTube's channel.
What's left of it?
What's left of it. I'm Eric Hannett. I was a game warden for 17 years, and this is my wife, Ash. She's an artist and photographer. We live on our sailboat wild with our 2 dogs. We've set out to find adventure, freedom, and a simple lifestyle. From the mountains of New Hampshire to the mighty Atlantic, we hope you'll follow along and put a little wilderness in your bones.
So we sold the boat. In case,
Both boats.
Yeah, both boats. In case anyone hasn't picked up on that part yet.
Mm-hmm.
For a variety of reasons. There's been a lot of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
The weather was
Most
one of
the
them.
weather was a big one.
And the dogs was
Mm-hmm.
another one. It was really becoming unfair to the dogs being stuck on a sailboat all the time. We thought we'd be able to bring them to the beach to run and stuff every day, but pretty much the half of the East Coast in its entirety was private property, and we
Yeah,
couldn't, or swamp,
or marsh.
And Diesel he's 11 now, so it's getting pretty hard for him to get around on the boat.
He's a senior citizen.
Getting tossed around and stuff, and he's lost his hearing, which is not helpful either. So the dogs were a huge reason for it.
Weather, the dogs, the sustainability aspect of living on a boat was not what we thought it was going to be. We thought it was going to be just moon pies and penny whistles, and being able to be self-sufficient and sustaining. But you can't. I mean, you can catch fish, but you can only eat so many fish. But
we couldn't
not being
have
able to have
our
a garden.
garden. We couldn't go hunting, which hunting is a huge part of life for us. So to not be able to do it was a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
Another reason was being really far from family is not great. Before we set out on this, we didn't really think much of that, I guess. Which in hindsight was kind of selfish of us. It's not easy to just leave the boat somewhere and go home to visit. We don't have a car. We can't, flying with 2 big dogs is not an easy feat.
Yeah.
We don't even have a car to get to the airport, and we're not gonna get an Uber with 2 60-pound dogs.
Plus all of our junk.
And all of our stuff.
And then leaving all of our stuff on the boat, either at a slip, which is very expensive, or on a mooring, or just anchored. We never actually did anchor anywhere and left the boat on anchor.
No.
Because it's just too unpredictable.
Yeah.
You can't. So you had to have a pay to dock it somewhere, or a
Usually
mooring, which
5 or 6.
even a mooring was tricky.
Yeah, several $100s. So anytime we wanted to just go see family or anything, it was pretty expensive.
Pretty impossible.
Just a logistical nightmare. And then, so we decided that we were tired of the boat thing. We've been called a failure for it.
We have?
Yeah, we were just called
Whom?
failure. This lady.
Wow.
So we were called failures for it. I don't consider it failing because we could have kept going if we wanted to. We tried it. We just didn't really like it.
It was fun. It was good. I mean,
but honestly, we didn't like sailing.
Yeah.
We really we tried it and we
Right.
just didn't like sailing.
Right.
So,
Sailing was a means to an end for us.
Yeah.
I think they said that right.
yeah.
I mean, sailing for us was a mode of transportation, and that's it. Some people like to sail and they just enjoy going out and sailing, and that's good for you. I mean, but we just never really
Got into it.
enjoyed the process of it. It was cool when it worked, when everything was working. It was good weather and it was a good sea state, and we were actually zipping along the few times that happened.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was neat. It was
it
a
was
pretty cool thing to be able to go from point A to point B under sail power and not have to burn diesel fuel. But as a general rule, we didn't enjoy it because it was never ideal conditions. It was always they say about sailing, when the sea state's good, the wind's not good. When the wind's good, the sea state's not good. So it's you either have to have wind in order to push you, but usually when there's wind, that means it's a pretty rough seas. But when it's flat and calm seas, there's usually no wind, so it's never great. It's never ideal.
Yeah.
So it was a good experience. I don't regret it.
I don't.
I would. I mean, would I do it again now, like over again? No, but would I do it again, like just to experience the whole thing? Sure. Yeah, it wasn't something that I regretted at all. It was interesting. It was fun.
And being far from family was
there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons.
And like there hasn't been a single day that I've really missed being on the boat at all. Like, so for instance, I just had a family member get in a really bad car accident, and we were told we had to get home because he wasn't going to survive. And like the entire car ride home, which thankfully we were not in Florida or on the boat anymore, but it was still like a 8-hour drive home, and like all I kept saying was like, I can't imagine if we were on the boat, like what would have happened. And that kind of like solidified our decision for me, is like, this happened, and like thankfully he's still alive, in a coma, but still alive. So if it like something else, like you never know when something like that can happen, and to not be able to just go home.
Right. And in that scenario, we were able to leave that morning. We happened to be leaving anyway.
Yeah.
But we still could have. We could have packed a few things and left. But on the boat, who knows? Like we may not have been able to go for days and days.
Yeah, it was one of those things where my mom called me at 6 a.m. and she said, I need you to leave right now. Because we were pretty much driving up there to say goodbye, and like I can't even imagine being on the boat, because like I was a complete train wreck. That definitely solidified my decision, at least. I'm very close with my family. We're very close with Eric's family, so to be that far away, like I don't like it.
And it's just, we're just ready to move on.
Yeah.
We did it. It was fun. It was an experience. It was never like, to me, it was never, well, I mean, obviously I'd never lived on a boat before. So my attitude from the beginning was like, maybe we'll love it, maybe we'll hate it. I have no idea. I've never lived on a boat. So let's just try it though. It'll be interesting. And the fact that we lived on the world's, we lived on the world's slowest boat in the world, that didn't help at all. And the space that we had, it really wasn't, I mean, the space was tough. It really wasn't about the space.
Yeah, the space was pretty far down on the list of things.
I mean, we didn't have a shower. We didn't have a lot of things. But it wasn't the fact that we were just on a boat in a small space, because that was, like you said, that was kind of the lowest of our problems. There was a lot of times where it was great, it was amazing, it was beautiful, and then other times, not quite sure if we were going to survive it or not.
Yeah.
But again, that on itself, like, sure, no matter what you do, there's danger, there's risk, no matter what you do. But with this, a little bit out of our control, like the weather was a huge factor.
Yeah.
You just never know from one moment to the next. And again, like for me, the fact that like the sea state of the weather can go from beautiful flat glass to terrible weather, terrible sea state, terrible everything, violent. But also, it's not only that, but it's like, there's no end to the size and the out of controlness that it can get. I mean, we sat through two hurricanes, and it wasn't like, it's kind of like we knew it was coming, we knew it was going to be bad, and because of that, I think it wasn't as bad because we were able to anticipated like this hurricane, and so like we sat through it. One of them, we were just out at anchor, nobody around, no houses around, no nothing around. But it was, to me mentally, it was like, okay, we have a hurricane coming. We're going to have a week of bad weather. We're going to deal with it. But the ones that were like unpredicted, when we had no call for any kind of storm, and it just pops up out of nowhere, those are the ones that make you think, well, if that can happen with no prediction, no warning ahead of time, how bad can it get? And the answer is really bad.
Yeah, we've had the one night in the middle of the hurricane, a water spout came past the boat. It had us like sideways. It sounded like a train going past us. That was at like 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
And
everything bad happens at night.
It's not a good feeling, and to plan your entire existence based on the weather and the tide, it gets mentally
It's tough.
exhausting.
It's old.
And like there's people, you know, that really love it. I didn't really care for it. Like I didn't hate. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't want to live my life based on what the weather was doing that day like that. Because when I say you're at 100% at the mercy of it, like that's it. You are never going to beat Mother Nature.
There was like 2 places we were at probably in our entire trip where we were protected. But other than that, like, you know, you go into a place with like, okay, you're protected from the north and the east or whatever the scenario is. And as long as the wind doesn't come from, you know, the south and the west, you're all set. And so you go there with the anticipation of you're going to have a south wind or whatever, or, you know, north wind, whatever. And it's wrong or it changes.
It's
like you can only do so much. And so you're always at the mercy.
And then like, yeah, again, like with the dogs, the thing with the dogs, it's hard to have dogs in a boat.
It's very hard.
You can't just let them out to go to the bathroom. You have to put them in the dinghy.
Twice a day.
Bring them to shore.
At least twice a day.
Yeah, which is awful for them.
Yeah.
And if you follow some other sailing channels, you'll see people who have had their pets on the boat with them.
In the beginning
have left them, you know, behind with family. I don't want to say left them behind, but they did.
I tried leaving them on the island.
No.
A couple times.
No. But have like left their, you know, their animals with family so they can go continue sailing, and that's just not something that we would ever do. Like we're not gonna abandon our dogs.
And you can't blame them. I mean, you can blame them for, but it's hard. It's very, very hard having animals.
It doesn't sound like it. All this sounds like just trivial problems, I'm sure. And I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of people behind their keyboard who have never done it saying like, yo, failures. Like the one person said, you fail at everything you do. All this stuff. Like it's super easy to say that from your computer when you're like, you know, watching stuff on TV and whatever in the
everything
comfort
looks
of your
easy
home.
on YouTube.
But I promise it's not. And again, there's people that really love it. And do it well. And you know, I say kudos to them because after doing it, again, it's just not something. I felt like it was very hard to just be present in the moment and enjoying
and not worry about
something because like it could be a beautiful day and you could be. I don't even want to say like swimming because we swam like twice.
Yeah.
But just like enjoying it. But in the back of your head, you're like, what fresh hell awaits us in the morning? Yeah. Whether it's bridge openings, because bridge openings were a nightmare in that boat.
And because of the boat.
Because of the boat, because it was so slow.
Underpowered, very underpowered.
The current, it was very hard to fight the current and sit in one spot and wait for the bridges to open. You know, we'd have to plan the tide because we couldn't go against the tide because the boat was too slow. So
like
if there was like a 3-knot current going against us, we were going a half knot to 1 knot. So that was a nightmare.
Or backwards.
There was times that we went backwards out in inlet.
Yeah.
Because the tide was pushing us out.
Yeah.
And it just got to where like I felt like I just couldn't sit and enjoy myself because I always just like was like, what's gonna happen next?
So anywho, for those of you that are interested in sailing, by all means pursue it. It was so the negative aspect of it we talked about. There's plenty of negatives. There's plenty of positives.
Oh,
like
beautiful.
We got to see the East Coast like most people will never see it, especially in that situation. We saw these cool little towns. We were on foot a lot.
Yeah, we had to walk everywhere to the grocery store and whatnot. So you saw a lot of cool things.
So it was really cool. There was a lot of cool things. But that being said, so we've decided to move on. We didn't fail, although if you can call it failure if you want. We chose to do something else. Moving on. Now the whole crux of this particular video is about what we're doing now. So stay tuned for the next video.
No, don't do that because you're already scandalous.
No, I'm already scandalous. So we've decided we're going back to the mountains. We are.
We're feral. We don't belong in society.
We don't belong in society, and so we've settled on Virginia. So we've purchased land in Virginia, and we are going to a good amount of land, and we are going to homestead. We're going to live off the land as much as we possibly can.
Because that's what we're good at.
Yeah, good-ish. We're probably failures at that.
Yeah, probably fail at that too. But
and we're going to build everything. The land is just a raw piece of land. There's no structures on the land.
It's 160 acres.
160 acre
on
piece
the side of a mountain.
in the mountains.
It's amazing.
So for those that like sailing and like all that stuff, sorry to say that we will not be doing that anymore. Though that being said, we do have videos we're supposed to be playing or continue.
We have to get caught up on those.
We're so far behind. So for those who like the sailing stuff, unfortunately, we're not going to be showing that after we finish showing the rest of the stuff that we have. But for those that like other aspects and other things that we're going to be doing, there's going to be some farming, there's going to be tractors, there's going to be building, there's going to be all that stuff. Logging. I'm sure we'll make plenty of mistakes.
Lots of hunting.
I'm sure there'll be plenty of mistakes, plenty of laughs and hijinks along the way. We're going to share it with you guys, so please like, subscribe, watch, follow. Sorry for being terrible about
failures.
Being failures.
Cagey little failures.
You know what?
Scandalous.
So here's the thing. We're not failures. I don't think I'm a failure. We're failures about the sailing thing. We are failures about posting videos.
Oh yeah.
Failures. So that person was right. We're failures.
Yeah.
About posting videos. We're terrible and we're sorry. But anyway, so thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Please watch all of our videos from start to finish because we try to do little funny things at the end when we can. Sometimes we do funny stuff.
You always make it weird, so if you...
I always make it weird.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoy making it weird. So it's my thing.
It is.
All right, thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.